In March of 2022, a woman named Carla Whitfield in Mesa, Arizona paid $11,400 in medical bills after her own dog put her in the emergency room. Not an intruder. Her dog. She'd bought a Belgian Malinois 8 months earlier specifically because she lived alone and wanted protection. Nobody had told her that an understimulated Malinois doesn't just get destructive. Sometimes it redirects that drive onto the nearest moving thing, and at 3 a.m., half asleep, getting up to check a noise, the nearest moving thing was her. She wasn't attacked maliciously. The dog wasn't aggressive toward her in any sustained way. It was a single redirect bite during a startle response, the kind of incident veterinary behaviorists see constantly in high-drive breeds that aren't getting what they need. But $11,400 doesn't care about nuance. That's what showed up on her bill, and that's the number that should be sitting next to every comparison video that tells you the Malinois is simply the better protection dog because it's faster and scarier in a sales clip. This comparison gets made constantly, and almost everyone making it is solving for the wrong scenario. The scenario in the title, something at 3 a.m., is not a kennel club demonstration. It's not a bite suit video. It's a half-asleep homeowner, bad lighting, genuine uncertainty about what's happening, and a dog that has to make a series of correct decisions without anyone giving it instructions. That scenario rewards a completely different set of qualities than the ones most comparison videos focus on. Start with what each dog actually is built to do, because the answer depends entirely on this. The German Shepherd was formalized in 1899 by Captain Max von Stephanitz with a singular design goal: a herding dog capable of independent judgment across unpredictable terrain with minimal handler input. The job required reading situations correctly without supervision. By 1914, the German military had 48,000 of them in service, and what made them valuable wasn't aggression, it was the capacity to make good calls under chaotic, high-stress conditions without a human walking them through it step by step. The Belgian Malinois comes out of the Malines region of Belgium, formalized by the Belgian Shepherd Club in 1891, bred primarily for one trait above all others: drive, the willingness to keep working past the point most dogs would quit. That quality made the Malinois the breed of choice for elite military units. Cairo, the Malinois on the 2011 raid that killed bin Laden, is the most famous working dog alive in cultural memory. Secret Service, French GIGN, somewhere around 30 NATO units run Malinois as primary working dogs. Here's the part that gets buried under the Cairo story every single time. Military and police Malinois operate under constant handler direction. A trainer is giving commands, managing the dog's arousal, directing its drive at every step. That structure is the entire reason the breed works in those settings. Take the handler away, which is exactly what happens at 3 a.m. in a home, and you've removed the thing that makes a Malinois' drive useful instead of chaotic. A 2019 study published in Animals analyzing breed-specific surrender data from 47 American shelters found Malinois surrender rates spiking specifically between 12 and 24 months, with unable to manage as the most common stated reason. That's not a breed that fails at home protection because it's incapable. It's a breed that fails because most home environments don't provide the 4 to 6 hours of daily structured work the drive requires, and an unmet drive doesn't sit quietly. It looks for an outlet, and sometimes that outlet is your own movement in a dark hallway. The German Shepherd's discrimination ability is the variable that actually matters for the 3 a.m. scenario, and it's not close. A 2016 study in Applied Animal Behaviour Science tested trained protection dogs across breeds on their ability to distinguish neutral, unfamiliar people from people displaying genuine threat posture. German Shepherds scored highest on correct discrimination. They didn't just react to a person being unfamiliar, they read intent. That's the herding brain at work. A dog that spent centuries distinguishing a wandering sheep from a spooked one developed a kind of situational literacy that transfers directly to, is this actually a threat, or is this just my owner getting up to use the bathroom? The Malinois, bred overwhelmingly for drive rather than discrimination, doesn't have that same built-in pause. It's faster to engage. That's an asset against a real, committed intruder. It's a liability against your own spouse stumbling to the kitchen for water. I'll say something that's going to annoy a chunk of the working dog community watching this. I think the Malinois is the better dog on paper and the worst dog in practice for almost everyone asking this question. Those are not contradictory statements. The breed's raw capability is higher. Its suitability for an unsupervised home defense scenario, run by an untrained owner, at 3 a.m., half asleep, is lower, specifically because that scenario requires the dog to supply its own judgment, and judgment was never the trait it was selected for. The bite statistics back this up in a roundabout way. The Malinois barely registers in dogsbite.org's fatal attack data, not because it's gentle, but because there simply aren't many in American households compared to shepherds. What does show up consistently in emergency veterinary records and in the AVMA's 2018 workshop findings on breed-specific behavior is redirected aggression incidents in under-exercised working line Malinois. Carla Whitfield's case isn't an outlier, it's a pattern with a name. None of this means the German Shepherd is risk-free or that the Malinois can't be a phenomenal home protection dog. A working-line shepherd from a serious breeder, properly trained, will discriminate correctly almost every time and cost you considerably less in ongoing management than a Malinois will. A Malinois owned by someone who actually puts in the 4+ hours daily, someone doing Schutzhund, IPO, real structured bite work multiple times a week, becomes an extraordinary animal that will, without question, end a confrontation faster and more decisively than almost anything else on 4 legs. The honest answer to which one would stop someone at 3 a.m. depends entirely on who's asking. If you're asking because you want a dog that makes the right call without you having to manage it constantly, the Shepherd. If you're asking because you've already committed to becoming the kind of owner who trains daily, manages drive constantly, and treats the dog like a piece of equipment that needs maintenance, the Malinois, by a wide margin. Most people asking this question are the first kind of person buying for the second kind of dog. Carla Whitfield kept her Malinois, by the way. She didn't surrender it. She hired a trainer, restructured her entire daily schedule around the dog's needs, and 18 months later wrote a follow-up post saying it was the best decision she ever made once she understood what she'd actually signed up for. That's the real answer buried in this whole comparison. It's never really about which breed is objectively superior at 3 a.m. It's about which dog matches the owner standing in the hallway, and most people don't find that out until the lights are already off.